Education. Basically, this is the program designed and developed by the AICT in association with her, sir. And now we are conducting the program, sir. And in this program, we are covering young faculties, assistant professor and associate professor of civil, electrical, mechanical, electronics, and computer science engineering branches, sir. The purpose of this program is to link to develop a bridge or to make a link between the academia with the industry. So we are inviting experts from the industry to interact and to give their expectation from the academia. What our industry experts are expecting from the academia, from the young faculties, and even from the students, because ultimately students will have to go to serve in the industry. They will have to face the interview under industrialist, under the experts from the industry like you, sir. So this is the main objective of this program. And based on this program, this session, faculties will generate 10 multiple choice questions. They will develop the question, they will give the correct answer with a short notes. And these multiple choice questions will be hosted on the website of AICT under their PARAKH program, PARAKH, P-A-R-A-K-H, PARAKH program. So, sir, this is the brief. And with your permission, if you give me the permission, I will start the session, sir.
Yes, sir.
Yes,
I hope I am audible, visible.
Yes, sir. This is a basic question of all online sessions. First question, whether I am audible. Second, whether I am visible.
Yes.
And the third question is whether my slide is visible or not.
Right, right. I will come to that question soon.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Okay.
So,
Sir, just give me a second. Let me set up the things. Just give me a 1 second, 1 minute.
yes,
Yeah.
sir. Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Okay, I am back.
So, sir, could we start the session?
Yes, yes, yes. I straight away go into the session. We have 41 of us online. Are we waiting for some more people?
Yes, sir, they will join, sir, because today's session is a little bit late. But some faculties are very comfortable for this time, because in daytime they will have to take the classes and to interact with other institutional work, sir. So
Okay.
with your permission, sir, let us start the session.
Definitely, sir.
Thanks, sir, and dear participants, dear academicians. We are very privileged and fortunate that Engineer Naveen Lopes, sir, has joined today's session as expert, as the resource person. Though I have shared his CV in the group, I am giving a brief introduction, a brief to save the time, because he has a lot of achievements and mentioning all these will take too much time. So in brief, he has very, very diversified working experience, not only in India, but he has very diversified experience, overseas experience also. He has associated and served global MNC organizations and conglomerates like Adani Group, Larsen and Toubro, Qatar Petroleum, Saudi Aramco, and Fabric Petrochemicals. He drives innovation and digitalization initiatives to leverage the advantage of technology to the business. His area of expertise are, in brief, I am just mentioning the headlines: planning and project controls, performance management, project governance and administration, risk interface and coordination management, innovation and digitalization, training and capability building. A lot of achievements in his career, like mine development and infrastructure construction of 39 MTPA coal and iron ore mine clusters, and processing facilities in Chhattisgarh, Madhya Pradesh, and Odisha under the Adani Group. Like other overseas, he has served in Fabric Petrochemical Complex Third Expansion Project, Jubilee, Saudi Arabia, transmission network substation and linking the Hash Deco and coalfield in Chhattisgarh to the Indian Railways. List is very large, so I am not going in detail just to save the time. Now, sir, with these words, I request you to take the session. So I am handing over session to you, sir. Sir, please.
Thank you, sir. Thank you for the welcome and the introduction. Let me share the slide. So I come to the third question.
Yeah,
my slide is visible.
Yeah, sir. That is very, very clear and visible.
Okay.
Thank you.
So good evening to everyone. When I have opened my slideshow, I am not able to see you people, but I hope you can see me. And please, I would like to have this interactive session. I would not, as you know, I am not from the academics. I'm not in a teaching profession. So I would love to have this session as an interactive, because based on your feedback, I will be able to share my experiences, what experience is worthwhile for you, which takeaways you can take from my experience, and also similarly how I can learn from you as well. So I thought about a topic which may be more practical and more close to what we do in projects in practicality. So I thought about discussing about enablers and tools for assurance in projects. So there are a lot of discussions, a lot of books available on project management. Just if at all I get disconnected or if there is a disturbance, please let me know in WhatsApp. Okay. So what happens is when we are working on projects, there are a lot of information available on the project management about the tools and about what are the processes and all. But when you go actually to apply a project in reality, it definitely becomes a totally different ball game. And that is why assurance in projects and enabling the tools and resources available to get our objective, that is meeting the goals of the project, becomes very important. So that is the reason why I chose this. We will discuss about two topics. One is enablers and tools for assurance, which I will cover today. And tomorrow we will talk about PMO. PMO is a very powerful organization which most of the industries are adopting. PMO stands for Project Management Organization. I will go in detail how a PMO assumes the role of an enabler in the assurance of projects. So let us now discuss what are the basic fundamentals and how the assurance is actually achieved. At any point of time, if you have any question, please stop me and you can ask the question before I go ahead. Okay. Okay, let's move ahead. So this is a brief about myself. Sir has already introduced about me. I am having more than 20 years of experience, and I have been in the PMO. I have been experienced in establishing and managing PMO, Project Management Center of Excellence, and developing robust systems in large engineering and construction projects for infrastructure, oil and gas, and petrochemical industry. And I have worked up to US dollar 1.7 billion project executed in EPC, EPCM, and MDO delivery models. And sir has already explained which companies I worked for. I am also a subject matter expert and trainer. In my last company, Adani, I was a certified trainer. I am also a certified PMP, cost certified professional, and a lead auditor of ISO 9001. So my topics mainly cover project management in the construction industry, project controls, and contracts management. So this is about me. So why project management? So project management, as you know, it is not a function. It is not like a discipline. It is not something to do with engineering. But even then, project management has become very popular. I will not get into the details and nitty-gritties and the basics fundas of project management. I will just let you know how a project management, when you apply into your normal activities, and how when you are applying in your normal projects and normal assignments, what are the benefits? What are the takeaways you can get when you apply project management? So one of the beauties of project management is it gives us cost and time assurance. It provides us cost and time assurance. You know that when we are talking about a project, they are basically short-term temporary endeavors undertaken by an executing entity. And since they are temporary and they are futuristic, there is a constraint to the time and a constraint to the resources which are assigned to the project. That is the reason why the cost and time are a critical factor in a project. So whenever you have seen a project being executed, normally they will be represented or compared in terms of time or cost. They will say either say it was overrun, the budget was overrun, or it was project were delayed. You must have heard that most of the projects in the infrastructure and public sector gets delayed, and we talk about years together. So basically, project management, when applied in a proper way, in a practical way, provides you cost and time assurance. So we will discuss further what are the other assurances and what are the enablers and tools which ensure us this assurance. Then there is a quality and safety assurance. Now we know that in order to achieve the project, we need to assign resources, we need to assign the scope. We have to complete the scope which we envisaged and want to deliver. But in order to ensure the project, especially in the construction area, we need to also assure quality and safety. Right? So what do we mean by quality and what do we mean by safety? Quality is what exactly the customer is paying for. Quality is not something what we are saying is in controlled or brought out of the project. It is basically what is acceptable to a client. If the deliverable is acceptable to the client, if the stakeholders are acceptable to the deliverables of the project, then we have achieved quality. So it is nothing more than the meeting the satisfaction of the client and stakeholder. What do you mean by safety assurance? Safety, from the word itself, tells us we are talking about the human property, and the environment as a whole. So how does project management helps us to assurance of safety and the quality, right? So project management is promising us these four important features. It is promising assurance of cost and assurance of time, assurance of quality and assurance of safety, only when the principles and processes are applied as per the requirement of the project. The very critical and very important assurance is the stakeholder assurance, stakeholder satisfaction assurance. See, when the projects are completed or executed within time or within cost, or both, if they are executed on the time or cost, meeting the quality, okay, and safety requirements, there is one very important consideration, that is the stakeholder satisfaction. Until the satisfaction of stakeholders has not been achieved, not been assured, you cannot say that quality has been delivered. Quality, as I said earlier, is the value which the stakeholders can see into the project. So if they do not see the value, they are not satisfied, there is no quality. So even if you meet the time constraint, cost constraint, and other constraints, and you complete the scope and you do not assure the stakeholder satisfaction, your project is not supposed to be considered as a success. So now project management is also assuring a stakeholder satisfaction. We will discuss further how it is helping us, but remember that it is guaranteeing or it is assuring that your stakeholders, whoever they are, how many numbers of them they are being assured of the satisfaction. Now, in order for project management to fulfill its requirement, in order to project management to deliver the objective, integration of all the above has to take place. And this is one of the greatest, we can say, gift of project management, that it helps you to integrate. Okay, what I mean by integration is, you have the time constraints. You want to finish the work in 1 year. You have the cost constraint, that's the budget. You have a budget of $100, for example. You need to satisfy the customer, the stakeholders. But when you integrate all of this together, we have to ensure that there is a balance between the requirements of the stakeholders, between the deliverables of the project, or the you can say the success criteria of the project, and the sponsor's requirement or the client's requirement. The client's requirements, the company's requirement has to be balanced with the stakeholders' requirement and the project's requirement. So integrating these three together with in a proper system where it helps you to manage the changes happening in the project is basically assured by project management. So integration of the all above is also a critical part in the assurance. Using change control. So what we are trying to do, we are trying to provide assurance. There are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 types of assurances we are providing using the project management, integrating the above. All of these assurances we are integrating into a cohesive one with the help of change control. Change control is a tool which we are using for integration of all the above assurances. We will discuss what is change control as we go further, but the name suggests that any changes which happens in the project is controlled. Who is controlling it? How it is controlled? What are the measures of control? We will discuss further. But change control is a very strong and powerful mechanism available in project management, which helps us to integrate all the assurances. Any questions so far? Anybody has any questions? I'm audible, right? I'm audible.
Yes, sir, audible.
Okay. If you have any questions, please let me know. If I'm going fast or if I'm going slow, please let me know. Okay. Now prerequisites. Now we are saying that a project management is a gift to us. It is helping us to assure the cost. It is helping us to assure the time, the quality, and even the safety. All these things are assured and the stakeholder satisfaction. It helps us to integrate together. It provides a tool called change control, which is helping us to integrate. But to have these things effective, we need something called prerequisites. And what are these prerequisites? These are the project boundaries. As you know, project as defined is a temporary endeavor with a fixed start date and a fixed completion date. So it has a starting point, there is a formal start and there is a formal closeout. We say it initiation. A project has to be, you can say, formally initiated and formally closed out. If these prerequisites are not met, then the above assurances and integration of the above will not be satisfactory. So this is a prerequisite for a assurance mechanism. Why I'm saying this? Many a times people are working on on projects, and work is being going on, and deliverables are being created, but the project there is no formal authorization of the project. There is no proper significance of the project. What are the stages it will go through is not identified. There is no project manager assigned to the project. People are working. It is no more a project. It is not a project. It is an operation. Because if you have not initiated with the basic requirements, with the basic deliverables, like what is your budget, what is your timeline, what is your stakeholder requirement, what is your key satisfaction criteria, and there is no proper initiation, then the project is no longer a project. Similarly, a project which doesn't have a closeout, and when I say closeout, there are different aspects of closeout. We will discuss it further. If there is no closeout, we cannot say it is a project. You can say it is some operation, or it is some activity, or it's some assignment. But these are two prerequisites which are must to have the above assurance. If you do not have this, please do not think about any assurance. You will not get any assurance from project management. These are the prerequisites. Now, there are some enablers. In order to have these assurances available for us, work for us, deliver for us, we need certain enablers. There is nothing rocket science over here. They are very simple things what has been shown here. But project management guarantees us, assures us that if you use this system, if you use this mechanism, you will be able to assure cost, time, quality, safety, and stakeholders' requirement. So the enablers are effective communication. We all know communication. We all do communication. We learned about communication. But we are talking from the perspective of projects. Within the projects, how effective your communications are. What are the types of communications? What are the approved mechanisms of communications? Whether the communication are reaching to your stakeholders, what type of strategy you have for communication. These factors are great enablers for project management to deliver. And the second enabler is risk handling. The word project is derived from projection. And when we say projection, it is futuristic. When it is futuristic, it is uncertain. When it is uncertain, there are risks. We all know what are risks. I will not get into a definition of these things. We know all risks. There are risks in projects also. Okay, it is getting delayed, resources not available, materials are not available, the cost of the raw materials are increasing as what is happening nowadays. The raw material price of steel and other raw materials is going up. So these are risks. If you are able to handle the risks, if you have put a plan in place and a mitigation system in place, for managing the risks in your project, then that is a great enabler for your project. So you have been assured some assurances which can be integrated as a cohesive whole to deliver the project. You use change control mechanism as a system which maneuvers your project. You have prerequisites which are a must, which are called the project boundaries, and you need enablers to drive this process. So this is the basic fundamental which I have learned it through my experience. There are a lot of fundamentals being taught about initiating phase, five phases of the project. Then there are knowledge areas, and people are learning the knowledge areas, input, output, this, that. But you need to know why you are using project management. We are using only because it is giving assurances. And these assurances can be worked out only when you have this particular prerequisites. Okay, so when you start working on this and enjoy the assurances which this system is providing you, then you will start seeing the realization, the benefits of using this system in your day-to-day projects. Any questions so far? Can I move ahead?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Now, how to assure cost and time? So, what does assurance leads to? Assurance leads to increase in confidence. I have confidence in the cost. I have budgeted 100 CR for this project. How much confidence I have on this? 50% confidence, 90% confidence. Assurance gives you the confidence. And when you as a project team or execution team have the confidence, you can transfer the same confidence to your client and stakeholders. So how do you get this confidence? How do you assure this confidence? There are certain pointers which are given over here, which helps us to get into the confidence, increase the confidence and deliver the assurance. That is detailed planning. Project cannot exist without planning. And many of the problems which you see in projects around you, majority of the problems started from the planning. Detailed planning was not done. Enough resources were not available for the planning. Enough time was not provided, or all aspects of planning was not done. Only cost planning was done, or scope planning was done. Communications planning was not done. Procurement planning was not done. Quality planning was not done. So complete detailed planning of your project needs to be done, which will assure your cost assurance. Constructability. Whatever was the design, whatever you are designing, whatever you are engineering, or whatever concept you have made for the project, if it is not able to be, if it is not constructable, then you are not going to achieve your assurance. So constructability checking or workshop is one enabler, or you can say provider for the cost assurance. So in one of our project, I was working with L&T, and we were working for this Saudi Aramco project, $1.7 billion project, and contract. I mean, the client told us that because of the the type of project and the timeline, we are in very tight schedule. We need to identify the long lead items, the items which takes like 1 year or more than 1 year to manufacture and deliver. You have to identify it, and you need to order this material within 90 days. I don't know from where this 90 days came, but they said within 90 days, the order for this has to be issued. Okay. So it was part of the contract. We have to agree it, and we started on the job. Within 15 days into the project, after the kickoff meeting, we realized that many of the material which they are asking us to source were supposed to be manufactured in Saudi Arabia. They are manufacturers in Saudi Arabia and all those things. There was some uh, regulation which said that some, I think, 35 or 40% of the equipments to be manufactured and purchased from Saudi Arabian suppliers. Now, this Saudi Arabia is a their working system, or their way of working is not like how we work. They go by the book. They have particular specification. They go by their particular procedures. And also during that time there was some festival going on, and because of the festival there was this slowdown in work. But in order to achieve this milestone of ordering 90 days ordering, we had to get the offers. First of all, we have to create the specification, the PRs, MRs, and float inquiries into the market and to these suppliers basically. But we were not able to get the response from them. We were not able to get the timely commitment from them. And we were struggling to basically move ahead from even the inquiry stage to actually getting offers. And we thought about it, that this is a risk, and how to actually proceed with that. So we approached the client and told them, see, this condition of yours, contractually we are supposed to order this material, but the thing is, due to the response and due to the situation around, it will be difficult for us to reach these 90 days. The client said, no, it's as per the contract. If you do not meet that, there will be some penalties. Then we made an analysis. We made a study. We made a constructability study, or we made a analysis, risk analysis, and showed it to the client that if you want us to finish this job or ordering within these 90 days, then we will have to go to the suppliers outside the kingdom, outside Saudi Arabia, and we'll have to take deviation from your vendor list procedure. And we explained to them. We even had meetings with the suppliers and told them that this is very challenging. There was probably not a good basis on which this system has come up, and we had to take deviation. And the change order system was implemented, and we were able to remove, I think, about 35% of the items out of this, from this 30 days mandatory ordering. And it happened only because we did a workshop, a planning workshop, a risk review workshop, with the help of the client and with the help of our experienced team, procurement team basically, which helped us to come out of this. Otherwise, we would have been stuck, and it will be very difficult for us to explain the client. So this type of workshops are necessary, which helps us to assure the cost and assure the time. Then robust contracting. When you are doing the contracting, you have to ensure that all terms and conditions are understood by the suppliers. So the suppliers, as I said, coming from different backgrounds, sometimes they do not have processes or systems or people to actually understand the requirements. So that is the reason why we should have a robust contracting system, where our team helps us to get our terms and condition across properly, get the technical bid analysis done quickly, and also the commercial bid analysis and other requirements which are required in contracting quickly and with the proper processes. So that sort of robust contracting is also required. You need to have an internal estimation. If you want to assure cost, you need to have our own internal estimation, which works on the estimates of the work done in the past, or different mechanisms for estimating. And based on that, we have to verify the cost or verify the offers which we receive. Then value engineering, you might be aware already about value engineering. value engineering workshops are a great tool, important tool, which helps us to assure our cost and time. Then negotiations. Negotiations are also important to understand not only the commercial aspects, but also the execution aspects. Many of the suppliers, they do not understand the execution aspects. How material handling will take place, what are the quality requirements, what are the storage requirements, what are the site conditions, they are not aware. So these things need to be negotiated to them, made clarified, and then only go ahead. So these are some of the drivers which helps us in assuring the cost. Now there is a model which I have shown here of assuring the schedule. So assuring the schedule, there is a technical assurance. Technical assurance basically comes from your quality assurance and a communication assurance. And then you have a cost assurance. When you have a cost assurance, basically driven by the procurement and your contract assurance, you are able to provide a schedule assurance also. Then you should have a HSE assurance, health safety environment assurance, along with a combination of risk and opportunity assurance, which helps us to get an organizational level assurance. And these three together can drive us towards our schedule assurance. Okay. Similarly, for the schedule assurance or time assurance, we need a detailed scheduling. The difference between planning and scheduling is in planning, you are basically making plans on who will be doing it, what will be done, and what is the process of doing it, what are the risks covered in that. Those things will be covered. In scheduling, basically, you are trying to tell when these activities are placed, what is the sequencing of these activities. So that detailing of sequencing and scheduling the activities in a timely manner has to be done. Then the schedule which you have prepared, it has to go through quality reviews, risk reviews, and benchmarking. Based on the benchmarking which you do with best practices, benchmarking has to be checked, and risk quality analysis has to be done, where you check the quality of the schedule. You check whether the main line items of the complete project is covered or not, whether your schedule is in alignment with the work breakdown structure. We need to check that one. And then you do the risk analysis. You do different scenarios. If there is a delay in certain parameter in the schedule, how it will impact the other delivery delayed dates of the schedule. So this quality, risk, and benchmarking also has to be done so that it will give assurance to your time. You should have robust project controls. Tomorrow I will discuss about project controls and project PMO. When you have these project controls, robust project controls, it will give you a proper system which will help you to basically monitor and control the different parameters of the project, which are basically the time, cost, the risk, and basically the scope. So when you have a robust project controls, it will ensure that you are able to ensure the time requirement. Timely funding. Timely funding is very important. You know that funds are like oxygen to your project. If you do not have the capability to timely fund your project, then you are not able to provide the time assurance. Right resources at the right time. You should have the resources at the right time. Then only they will be able to deliver and assure you your time. Sequential execution, we also already discussed when we are talking about the quality and scheduling. If you want to execute the project, you should have sequential activity. You cannot erect an equipment before it has reached the site. We cannot erect an equipment before this foundation is completed. We cannot hydro test equipment unless there is a completion of the equipment erection and testing. So timely ordering. Timely ordering is also important for ensuring your timeline. Nowadays, most of the projects are outsourced types where most of the effort-based work is also outsourced along with the materials and manufacturing. So timely ordering of such materials and services is important to assure your timeline. Any questions so far? Any questions on how to assure cost and time? Now, how to assure quality and safety? So to assure the quality, there are something called 6 zeros, which is implemented in many companies, which says zero harm, zero defects, zero incidents, zero accidents, and zero rework, and zero wastages. So these 6 zeros basically contribute to achieving your quality assurance. There is a quality assurance process also, which is given here. Identify issues with your process. Suppose you have a quality process. Suppose you have a process. How do you assure the process is, how do you assure that the process is in line with your requirement? Okay, you identify issues with the process, generate corrective actions. Okay, then verify the corrective action and implement the corrective action. You identify the issues, create corrective actions, check these corrective actions are suitable, enforce them, implement them, and then monitor and control. And then the circle goes around. Also, there is something called a Kappa, corrective action and preventive actions. So this is the system where you are basically integrating the corrective and preventive actions together so that they are integrated and you are able to identify them, plan them, validate them, and basically implement them. So this is another system which many companies are using to assure their quality. Okay, then audits. Audits are a great tool used for quality assurance where a quality framework, audit framework is created, and based on that, there are audits, interdisciplinary audits, or between third-party audits, or between the client and the contractors, and different types of audit results are being provided, which basically go back into your system and help you to make corrective actions into their system. Then there is something called proactive control. Proactive quality. Proactive quality is basically you are trying to find the defects or find the issues into your system before it actually measured. And instead of going into a corrective action, you are going into a predictive and proactive type of assurance. Then quality control. So quality control is basically working on the system of measuring and then providing feedback into the quality assurance mechanism for making necessary actions so that your quality is improved. So basically, yes, there are different drivers for assuring your quality. The 6 zeros, audits, proactive quality requirements, and quality control. These are some of the requirements which I have mentioned here. There are many more than that, which are also you can use as tools for assuring the quality. Now, safety. Safety nowadays has taken very popular or a very important criteria. So the project which I am working now, it's quite a large project. We are building a process plant. So about few days back, about a month back, there was an accident at the site. And about 2 months back, the safety in charge over there at the site, he indicated that these man lifters which are used, we are using the man lifters to get the people on top of the structure whenever they are doing the, can say, the interconnections or doing the piping work or other work. These basically man lifters are used for doing work on the structure instead of along with the scaffolding. In some areas, they are also using man lifters so that the work is getting faster. So the safety officer, he highlighted that when these people are going up into the man lifter, they are not harnessing themselves. They are not providing a harness on which they can plug into And whenever there is some issue or there is the man lifter goes off or there is some problem with the engine, they are able to evacuate themselves. Suppose they are working on a height of suppose 50 meters or 60 meters, and suddenly the man lifter stops working. How these people are supposed to come down? So there should be some evacuation or access to that particular people whenever they are working. So there was a suggestion of providing a sort of a ladder, a temporary ladder, which the people will use to get down. Now this suggestion was made. There was a study being done. Which are the areas to be used, and what are the types of ladder? And there was a planning was done. Meanwhile, after a few days, similarly a man bucket with two people was doing a job at I think 40 meters height. And while doing the job, the man lifter, you can say the base of the man lifter was one uneven surface. And because of the uneven surface, the man lifter was not able to hold its ground and it toppled. Luckily, these people were lucky because while the man lifter toppled, it did not go all the way down and almost killing these people. What happened was they were saved by another structure where the bucket of the man lifter went and stuck nearby, and they escaped this incident with minor injuries. So what I'm trying to say was there were two issues over there. There were one about safety assurance and one about safety risk management. So there is one safety risks and one is safety assurance. Now, in this scenario, there was a safety assurance being taken care. There was a man lifter. They had taken out their own safety precautions. They were having their harness. They were doing the work with a permit. All those things were taken care. So you can see here, there is a picture where I was saying that there is a process called safety assurance, where system monitoring was taking place. They were having a permit. Permit was issued. From there, they had gone. And because of that, they were monitored. They were monitored by the supervisor, and the system was proper, and whatever work they supposed to do was done, and corrective action was taken whenever there was a need with the bucket crane. It was inspected and all that. But the left one, you see the safety risk management, that was missing over here. The hazard identification was not done. In case of uneven surface, what are the precautions to be taken? What are the hazards which can take place? And what these risks are, whether they are assessed, and what type of control mechanisms have been in place or not. This sort of risk assessment and risk management was not done. Only safety assurance was done over here. And only when you have this safety assurance and risk management together, then only such type of incidents could have been arrested. So in the case or in the situation which I shared with you, the problem here was there was a safety assurance mechanism, but a risk management mechanism was missing. See, there is something they discuss about successive layers of defenses. So hazards are there at one end and accident is on the other hand. So when the hazards pass through these different layers, when it passes through the different layers, it will cause the accident. So we should ensure that the safety risk management is done in such a way that these hazards do not pass through and cause accidents. Okay. So they say that the personal protective equipment, the hard hat, the safety shoes, the coveralls, the gloves and all those gear which the people use, the worker use, it is the last line of defense. It is the last line of defense because when all these hazard identification, safety mechanisms, safety assurances, safety control process, when they have all failed That is the time when these protective devices will protect this workman. That is why they are called the last defense mechanism. So how do we ensure safety? Safety assurance. Yes, any question? Yeah. There is some disturbance. Please, can you mute your mic?
Yes, sir.
Okay, thank you. So, how do you assure safety? To assure safety, one of the main tool which is used are training. Trainings, there should be a never-ending training program for the staff. Different types of trainings to be provided to them, toolbox training, defense team training, working at height, enclosed area work, hot work, different types of trainings should be provided to them and identified and provided to the people. So this is a very powerful assurance mechanism so that safety is controlled and monitored. Also, plans and procedures. You need to have safety plans. Nowadays, every construction site, every construction project has their own safety plan. Earlier, companies' manual or safety manual was used as a mechanism for execution of safety requirements. But nowadays, it is not accepted. You need to prepare a safety plan and safety procedure for the project, specific to the project, with all the control mechanism which we discussed, the safety assurances and risk management procedures. Audits. Audits, again, we discuss in quality also, in safety also. Audits are a very important tool which are used to identify hazards and also to take corrective actions. Then there is something called design safety and construction safety. Okay, so when we say this, most of our safety is focused at the site, but we should know that whatever we design, based on our design, the construction is driven by the design. And if you do not inbuilt safety while designing our systems, while designing our project, then half of your construction safety will be taken care, maybe more than that. So designing with a safety perspective, review by a HSE person during the engineering workshop, and engineering reviews should be conducted so that safety assurance is ensured at the construction level also. There is something called leading indicators. There are leading indicators which help us to identify potential problems. Like now it is a summer, and especially during summer, there is a chance of heat stress. Now, when the heat stress happens, people, they faint, they have difficulty in working, they have health issues. So some of our leading indicators in such a weather is the temperature, the heat index, which helps us to understand that we need to hydrate ourselves, we need to hydrate our people. So some of the leading indicators or leading actions based on leading indicators, what we have taken care in our project is providing shelters, rest shelters for contractors, providing them pedestal fans for them, providing them ample water at every location, and controlling the timing. They're like between 12 to 2, the work is being stopped or the work is being staggered. Something like that is done so that the workers do not reach the level of heat stress, and then further problems and further issues is not taking place. So such type of leading indicators to be utilized by the team so that safety is assured. Any questions so far? Please share your thoughts. Any questions?
Naveen sir, good evening.
Yes, good evening.
Sir, actually I have a question. In any project management, project controlling या monitoring, what is the difference between?
Between the difference between project monitoring and controlling.
Yeah.
See, yeah. Nowadays, the word is used interchangeably. See, there is something called project controls and there is something called control. See, now what happens is when in the monitoring phase, basically, there are some parameters defined. There is a baseline defined. Like, for example, we are planning to complete 1000 cubic meter of work in this particular month. So our monitoring parameters is weekly we will check what our basis. Suppose 1000 cubic meter we want to achieve in 1 month. Weekly we should achieve around 250 cubic meter. So we are measuring every week whether we are ahead or behind as we go ahead in our project. So that is basically project monitoring. You are monitoring whether there are any deviations, whether there are shortfall, whether there is productivity issues, whether there is any other issues which is happening. Now, for example, this is a monitoring part. Now, control, what happens is, now there is this work of 1000 cubic meter. At the end of the 15 days, you come and see at the site, you find that still about 800 cubic meter of work is still remaining. Okay, 15 days are over, 50% of the work is completed, 15% of the timeline is completed. You see that 800 cubic meter work is still remaining. That means you have achieved only about 20%. You have achieved only 20% for 50% of the time. You have completed 50% of time. You should have been at 50%, but you have achieved only 20%. Now,
That means,
what happens?
that means, sir, it depends upon the output.
Yes, it depends upon the output. Now, based on
How
this,
to
you
achieve
need
the
to.
output balance time?
Yes. Now, based on that, in order to achieve this 30%, you need to do some control actions on the remaining part of the project. You need to increase the resources, you need to put more manpower, or you need to increase the time. So this action which you take on the project, like increasing the manpower or increasing the time, increasing resources, that is the control mechanism.
Suppose I have limited resources, then what can do?
If you have limited resources, then we need to check our plan. We have to see our plan, what productivity was chosen for our limited resources, whether the productivity we chosen, our plan of completing 1000 cubic meter in 1 month, we have to check that. We have to check our baseline. If our baseline says that, yeah, there was some issues, we need to re-baseline. We need to increase the duration from, like for example, 1 month to 2 months or 1.5 months. That adjustment we have to do.
Okay, sir. Thank you.
Okay. Yeah, thanks for asking question like that. So it helps
Hello,
me
sir.
to. Yeah, yes, please.
Am I audible, sir?
Yeah, sure. Yes, you are.
Yes, sir. This is a Dr. Chaugule, sir, from Maharashtra.
Yes, doctor.
Yes. Sir, this regarding the Azure quality and safety. So all the points that you have covered. And I'm very happy that you're elaborating with the examples, sir. Thank you very much for that. But here, sir, in this, to get the more assurance regarding the quality and safety, whether all the stakeholders which are associated with any project, whether they should be acquainted with the any quality guidelines or rules, IS codes, or in the safety itself, safety guidelines, or you can say safety laws. It is expected, sir, that.
See now, in the next section, I will be talking about stakeholder. Now there is a large variety of stakeholders. Now there are stakeholders who are related to your project but not working in your project. Like for example, your suppliers. Your suppliers are stakeholders who supplied you materials, raw material, but they are not working on your site, right? So for them, site-specific safety requirement is not, you can say, is not. I mean, it is not required for them. They are not required to know the site-specific requirement. But who are your stakeholders at site? Your construction contractors, your equipment operators, your labor, your manpower at site. They are all your construction related stakeholders. So these stakeholders will be given the proper safety training and as you said, the whatever procedures and plans will be explained to them. So it depends upon where the stakeholder is located in your project.
Thank you, sir. Thank you very much, sir.
Yeah, welcome. I will explain further in the next slide when we go to stakeholders.
Yeah, yes,
how
sir.
we
Yes.
classify the stakeholders.
Yes,
So,
sir. Yes, sir. Thanks.
Yes, but what happens is in a nutshell, every stakeholder of your project, basically the key stakeholders like your project sponsor, your engineering team, your construction team, your quality team, they need to be aware of all the procedures and plans of your project, including the safety, quality, control mechanism, change controls, and engineering review system, and construction management, execution philosophy. They should be aware with your all the plans and procedures, but not all the stakeholders are required. Can I go further?
Thank you, sir. Thank you very much. Okay.
Yeah. Okay. Now we come to stakeholder satisfaction. How do you assure stakeholder satisfaction? Now, stakeholder is very generic word. Everybody says nowadays stakeholder. We hear stakeholder. What do you mean by stakeholder? Unless we know who is my stakeholder, I can't do satisfaction. I don't know who he is, then how will I do satisfaction? So to reach that satisfaction or to assure that satisfaction is provided, we need to identify. We need to first identify who are my stakeholders. This is my project. This is what I'm going to deliver. Who are my stakeholders? I need to identify them. Who does that? The project team, the project manager, the engineering manager, all his team, all the people, project engineers, they all come together and they identify the stakeholders. After identifying, you have to classify them. I will explain you why you have to classify them. Now, there was a question about that. Suppose the consultant or my licensor, suppose I'm building a process plant and I have purchased a license for my process from a licensor. He has given me the basic design and he will do certain review. Does he need to get involved or does he need to review or study my site safety procedures? I don't think I think he has limited, we can say, access or limited involvement in the construction side. He's basically a licensor who is involved in the basic engineering part, where he will provide his support for getting into the detail engineering and then the completion of the project. But how the construction activities, safety will be governed, he will not be much involved. So similarly, we have to classify based on our requirements where the stakeholders are positioned. Now, once we classify, we need to engage them. And for engaging, you need to have a strategy. Now, we have so many stakeholders. We are doing a project where we are constructing a project in an area where the surrounding, outside the boundary wall, there is a village. And about 50 meters or so, we have constructed the boundary wall, and about 50 meters or so, we were not allowed to construct the boundary wall. Even though the land belongs to us, we have everything, we got all permissions, the villagers stopped us from making the boundary wall. They are saying that there is a access village road or some old road, access road to them to go to the, the city or town. And they said you cannot stop this road. It's not a road. It's like a street or path, kacha road. But villagers said no, we will not allow. They stopped. They made big hangama and all those things, and they not allowed us to construct the boundary wall. Now, are those villagers my stakeholder? Yes or no? Those stakeholders are the stakeholders to my project? Yes or no? So villagers who created problem, not allowing to make the boundary wall for 50 meters, are they stakeholders? Yes or no?
No, sir. I think they are not stakeholders.
See, stakeholder is somebody who either directly impacts your project or is getting impacted by your project, or who have the perception that they will get impacted by your project. So stakeholder is not anybody working in your project. Stakeholder is also those people who are impacting your project. Means all the people who work in your project are stakeholders by default. The people whom you impact, they are also your stakeholders, and the people who think in the future you will impact them, or in some way they will impact them, or they have the perception, they are also your stakeholders. That means those villagers are your stakeholders. Right? Those villagers are stakeholders who are stopping my work. Now, if they are my stakeholders, I have to engage with them. I have to involve them. Now, how do I engage with them? Why do I engage with them? Why do I involve them? See, now they are already impacting my project. My boundary wall is not secured, right? My boundary wall is not secured. I do not have the full access to my land, which I have under me. Maybe something which I need to construct in that area is not been able to construct, right? There is a chances of theft from my area and all sort of things. So because of this, there are risks emerging in my project. If there are risks emerging in my project, if my project is impacted security-wise or cost-wise or time-wise, because of these people, we might not able to execute some work. We may get delayed. So they are a strong influencing stakeholder, and we need to engage with them. Engagement, how it takes place? Engagement takes place by communication, by involving them, by discussing them, by talking to them what are their concerns, by maintaining a rapport with them, and talking out what are their issues and how we can solve those issues. And not only engaging them for a short while, but monitoring their engagement, monitoring their position in our project. So for that, we need to engage with them throughout the life cycle of our project. And there are certain, like for example, when the villagers have problem with our project, normally they come and ask like, we need employment, you are building a project here, we are losing our land, we are not happy with the rates we got. So they will have all sort of problem. They will say, we want employment or we want contracts. So whatever earthwork you do, please, we want a contract or we want some commission. So we need to involve them with the proper process. We need to involve them with our identifying our risks. We have to evaluate them, whether they can do the job or not. Some way or the other, we do involvement. You have heard of CSR, corporate social responsibility. Why companies do CSR? They do CSR so that there is engagement taking place with such type of stakeholders. And when there is stakeholders are engaged, they help you to promote your project. They help you with their support and they help you to their goodwill, which will enable your project to proceed complete smoothly. So project management is giving us a system which is helping us to basically assure the stakeholder satisfaction. How? By identifying, by classifying, by engaging with them, and then involving with them. See, can you see this quadrant? This is a table here, quadrant table. This is a tool which is used to classify the stakeholders. You see, there is on the x-axis you have the low to high influence, and on the y-axis importance. So low to high importance and low to high influence. Now you will try to place the identified stakeholders into this quadrant. Okay. Now, for example, protect. Who will come in the protect? This group will require special initiative to protect the interest. They are the high importance, but they have low influence. Example of such people are the public administration of your area. They have high importance, but they have low influence. They are not directly involved with the project. They are not influencing your direct execution of your project, but they are of high importance. The political party or political leadership in your area where you are doing the construction, they are of high importance, but low influence. Now, low priority. They are the people who have less importance and low influence. Example is a very junior level people or people like, your tea boy. In your project, you have some people who are providing your tea and snacks and all those things. These people are, they do not have high importance in the project and they don't have much influence. They cannot delay your project. They are not the people who can delay or impact your cost, increase your cost. So for example, who will come in the monitor? So these are people with low importance but high influence. Your villagers. I told about the villagers who are not allowing to do the boundary wall. They don't have high importance. Okay. They are not somebody like our senior level management. They are villagers. Nothing to do with our project, but they have high influence. See, if their interests are not satisfied, they can cause risks to your project. Okay. Now, good relations. These are the people who are basically have high importance and high influence. Who are these stakeholders? They are your clients. If you are executing a project, your client is your coming in this good relationship. You having high importance and high influence. Your clients, your consultants, your main contractors, your key equipment suppliers, your management team, your board of directors, they have high importance and high influence on your project. So these are the people which you can classify. And why it is helping us? Why do we need to do classification? Because all stakeholders will not be managed the same way. We need to prioritize the stakeholders. Now, suppose in my project which I am executing now, we did the analysis, we did the identification, we found 100 stakeholders. Now, it becomes very difficult to engage and satisfy these 100 stakeholders. That is the reason why we try to prioritize who are your most critical stakeholders, which we need to engage. So when you are using such a tool like this, you will be able to classify those stakeholders because you can put different, we can say, engagement mechanisms. Okay, people coming in the good relationship quadrant, you will employ certain type of engagement system. For people coming in the low priority, different type of engagement. So if you classify, you are able to put in place a plan, an engagement plan for these different stakeholders. But if you do not classify them, then it becomes very difficult to communicate with them, engage them and involve them and to manage them. So that is the reason why we are having this classification so that you are prioritizing the stakeholders. Identifying stakeholders early can make the difference between success and failures. Okay, so there was this project, national highway project running through thickly dense forest, I think through Madhya Pradesh. Now this project was for example, it was 1,000 crore project and the detailed project report was approved and the forest clearance was approved, environment clearance was approved and the construction started. Now there is animals. There is a lot of animals, wild animals in this forest area. And when the project was executed, there was this animal activists reached the public administration, and then the public administration gave a directive that the work to be stopped. The work has to be stopped. The reason is there has to be certain animal crossings which need to be installed into this highway at different locations. This was totally missed out. There was no animal crossings envisaged in the project. And now the project was stopped and everybody was talking about delay and cost increase. Now the cost is increasing because now, they have to make those sort of crossings. And also delay because now the work is stopped. Supreme Court or High Court has told stop the work until this issue is resolved. Now, what happened over here? See, mostly what happens in project, we only know we do not know the underlying problems. We know the overlying problems. We know like project delay ho gaya, project is delayed, metro project is delayed, or some other project is overrun, 1,000 crore tha, abhi 2,000 crore ho gaya, like that. We know all these things, but we do not know the underlying areas. Now, in this project also, everybody knows that it's a overrun project, delayed project. But what happened here exactly? What happened here exactly was a key stakeholder was missed out. When the project was conceived and planning was done and all those processes were done, a key stakeholder, that is this, forest and animal department or something, animal who actually gives clearance. And in fact, in the forest clearance, when they received, there was one line or clause which asked them to get this sort of approval from this animal, this body, and then go ahead with your construction. But this was missed out. This stakeholder was missed out, and because of missing out that, we are now having risks. We are having an escalation problem. The contractor is demanding for change order. We are having a change in design, change in scope, all sort of problems, big risks. So identifying stakeholders early in your project is the difference between success and failure. Now that project will be termed as a failure because it has got stuck. The cost has escalated. Contractor has went into dispute, claims. So that is the reason why stakeholder satisfaction is very important, and project management gives you this mechanism. It gives you this methodology where you can actually identify, classify, engage, and involve these stakeholders. Not only identify them, engage with them. So that from, can say, hostile stakeholders, they became supporting stakeholder. See here, we have three stakeholders: stakeholder 1, stakeholder 2, and stakeholder 3. So there are 5 different scenarios or 5 different stages of a stakeholder. The first stakeholder is unaware. He's unaware what is going on. He's not bothered. He's a stakeholder, but he's unaware about the proceedings. Stakeholder 2 is neutral. Neutral means he's aware, but he's neither with you, neither against you. He's neutral. Stakeholder 3 is supportive. Now we want to bring all the 3 stakeholders into the level of supportive. We want all of them to support us. So this sort of a matrix helps us to place these stakeholders in different areas and help them to manage us. Now we want stakeholders to go from C to D. What are the engagement mechanism? What are the strategies we will employ on this particular stakeholder will be guided by this table. This table will help us to now put in place some actions for him to bring from C to D. Similarly, for stakeholder 2, different sort of action will be taken care for this particular stakeholder, because he's in neutral, we need to bring him to supportive. Okay. And stakeholder 3, we do not have to take any action because he's already supportive. We only have to monitor that this stakeholder stays supportive throughout the life cycle of the project. Any questions so far? You understood what is a stakeholder? Stakeholder is not necessarily the one working in your project. Anybody and everybody who gets impacted or think they get impacted are your stakeholders. Any questions so far? Did you understand the quadrant? Did you understand this matrix?
Sir, low priority means, sir?
Low priority means those stakeholders which have low importance. Means they are not your project manager. A person like a delivery boy who brings stationery for you. He's working in your project, a delivery boy or admin boy who is working and who does the odd jobs of photocopy, bringing stationery. He is not important. He doesn't have importance in your project. He's a very low priority. He doesn't have a influence. He cannot stop your project. He cannot delay your project. He cannot cause your project to get into trouble, right? So person like that who is working in your project, he is a stakeholder. Why is a stakeholder? Because he is part of your project. But he is low priority. Why? Because he has low importance and low influence. Because he has a low priority, how our mechanism for handling his satisfaction will be different. We will not be bothered about satisfaction of this guy. We will be more interested in satisfying stakeholders who are in good relation or who are in protect or who are in monitor with different scenarios. Did I answer your question?
Yes, sir.
Okay, thank you. Any other questions or we go move ahead? Okay, so now assurance of construction. Now this is a mechanism we have developed and we are using it to assure construction. See, what happens is, I have noticed in my experience that after construction completion, all of you are engineers, I mean from the construction background. So I just want to give you this example. So when the construction completes in a process plant, to get it ready for startup, with getting all the pre-commissioning done, getting the testing done, hydro test done, flushing done, and steam blowing and all those things, sort of things we have to do. It takes certain time, but we want to manage this. We want to control it. We want to assure that from construction completion to ready to start up, we are reaching in a proper systematic way with a control over each stages. And we have devised a method where we are basically made into different formats. From format 1 to format 4 and commissioning, we are going through this process using this system. This is the assurance mechanism. I explained to you assurance mechanism. This is our assurance mechanism to go from construction completion to ready for startup. And what are our enablers in this project? Are readiness of documents. The documents required to basically help us with our startup. The documentation which is required for construction completion readiness to go into the different processes of pre-commissioning and then into the ready for startup. Availability of expert supervision. Now we all know that construction completion and getting into ready for startup needs specialized people, specialized supervision, mostly from the licensor or people from the having good experience in commissioning. So these people should be available. Okay, and readiness of manpower. Our manpower is readiness, availability of manpower and readiness of the manpower, availability of expert supervision and readiness of the documents. These three are the enablers which will help us to move from construction completion to readiness to startup. And what are the forms or formats which we are using? We are doing first attacking the discipline-wise completion. Then we are talking about systemic alignment. We are aligning all our equipment. Then we are doing the acceptance test. This is a site acceptance test, not a factory acceptance test. Then we are doing construction acceptance test. That whatever construction has been completed has been accepted. After completing this stage, we go to the format 2 where punch points, construction punch points are managed or completed or handled or closed. Also the vendor punch points, the vendor supply, whoever vendor was providing the construction work, their punch points are also completed. Then from here, when we finish the construction punch point, we enter into mechanical completion. And from mechanical completion, we start preparing for our pre-communication. We do our system operational test and system punch points. We did the construction punch points, now we do the system punch points. so that we are operationally ready to move into pre-commissioning activity. And when we go into format 4, we are starting our pre-commissioning activities. When we are completing our pre-commissioning activities, we enter into our hot commissioning or commissioning phase, where basically the product is basically started rolling and we get the plant running, up and running. So this is basically a mechanism we are following. I just wanted to reinforce how the assurance is helping us to basically help us from the initial stage of discipline-wise completion up to the commission. So this is one example. Similarly, different assurances can be employed in different stages of the project, and we can move ahead. Any questions on this? Any questions so far? So this is the project management life cycle. You all know about that. There is initiating phase, planning phase, executing phase, closing phase, and then monitoring and controlling. So these are the inputs and outputs. This is just I'm showing for your understanding. Now integration. Why we are doing integration? It unifies and consolidates the assurance activities and processes as they overlap and interact. So integration, as we discussed in the starting slide, is used to enable the controlled project execution through completion. So here what we are doing is we are making choices of resource allocation. We are making trade-offs and managing interdependencies. For example, a cost estimate for a contingency plan. So for example, if we had a contingency plan which has now occurred, we need to use this contingency plan. Now the cost estimate for that contingency plan also involves integrating the cost. Now that contingency plan, the cost estimate of that plan needs to be added to the project cost. No, if you had a 100 crore project and now you find that there is a contingency required to be completed, and for that the estimate is 5 crore, now your project cost will become 105 crore, right? Also you have to integrate the time. Whatever the time was, you have to estimate the time for that particular contingency activity and integrate with that time of the project. Similarly, you have to integrate with the risk management. Suppose you have a risk management system where you have all the risk identified, planned and executed. We need to bring the risks arising out of this particular activity and integrate with the overall risk management framework. So this is what integration helps us as an enabler. Any questions so far? Now, application of change control. So whenever there are projects, I explained to you earlier, there are changes. And whenever there are changes, these changes are reviewed, evaluated, and approved or rejected. Okay. So when changes are reviewed, evaluated, approved, or rejected, only approved changes are applied to deliverables. Okay, there is a mechanism. Again, project management system provides us a mechanism where we can have a robust change control mechanism on our project. Only approved changes are applied. Okay, and before approving, they are reviewed, evaluated, approved, or rejected based on the decision-making process of this change control system. Then after the changes are applied, they are communicated. Your team and your stakeholders should know what changes have been done. For example, that example I was giving, that road crossing, the animal crossing. Now, once it is approved by the board or by the management team that animal crossings at certain locations have to be constructed, it has to be communicated and documented that, okay, now we have to bore additional cost of 20 crores, and it will take another 4 months. We have to bring another contractor. These are the new risks which are going to involve. All these things need to be communicated and documented into the changes. So changes are done in an integrated fashion while reducing the project risk. So our intention always should be to reduce the risks. When we are adding the animal crossings into the project, we do not want to bring some other issues. You know, the integrity or the integrity of the structure, integrity of the highway itself is compromised because of this. That should not happen. Your project risk should not increase. Now, because of the Animal Crossing, project risk should not increase. You should ensure that it will reduce the risk. Okay. Now, ensure boundaries. We discuss about boundaries. We need to have a start initiation phase and a closeout phase. In the initiation phase, we said project manager has to be assigned. If there is no project manager, you cannot have an effective project. Budget has to be approved and resources mobilization takes place. See, if these things doesn't formally take place, then you cannot say you have done the project boundaries. You need to have a project manager identified. You need to have budget approval. You can't go to the management and say, I need this much amount and that much amount, and it is not a project. And you should have resources assigned for the project. They should be formally assigned that these are the resources working on this particular project. With the name of the project, with the timeline of the project, code of the project, everything should be there. And similarly, when you complete the project, you should have a technical closeout. Technical closeout means we discussed, the startup, commissioning, pre-commissioning, all the technical jobs have been completed. The electrical work is completed, mechanical work is completed, instrumentation work is completed, everything is closed, all the punch points are completed, and technically the work has to be completed and handed over. Contractual closeout talks about contractually what are the obligations. The contract was as per the contract, they were supposed to provide a bank guarantee to release their retention amount. Whether they have provided all their bank guarantees, whether all the insurances have been provided, whether all the warranties of the equipment has been provided, whether the manuals and as-built drawings has been handed over. This is all contractual closeout when you handed over the contractual obligation. And financial closeout means no dues. All the payments related to the project, including the retention payment, the pending payment, whatever payments are there, are been handed over, closed, and sign-off has been taken that there are no dues between each party. So unless this happens, you cannot say the project is closed. Many times, even in our real projects where I work, this stages doesn't take place. Technical closeout takes place, partially contractual closeout takes place. But financial closeout many times does not take place. Actual financial closeout where in the SAP system, in the project system, it is actually closed and finally closed out and signed off. That doesn't take place because of disputes between the contractors, because of mostly disputes due to claims, due to other issues, due to some obligations not completed. Due to this closeout in all aspects gets pending. So this is very important. This needs to be completed. Then only you are saying that the project is completed. So please remember, these boundaries are very important. If you do not ensure that boundaries are set, assurance of project requirements will not be ensured. You will not be able to get assurance. Okay, so these are the enablers. Effective communications. I said two of the enablers. One is the risk handling and communication. So now selection of the mode. What type of communication? Verbal, formal, written, using technology, using emails, that needs to be decided. It will be a driver for your assurance. What type of communication? Interactive, whether the team is open to interactive discussion, push or pull. Push is where the information is pushed onto the team members. The project reporting team sends reports to everyone. Everybody's inbox gets the reports every week. So this is a push, or the project manager sends circular to everyone, or project information to everyone, or communication to everyone that this is what is happening in the project. This is a push type. What is pull type? Pull is basically, I don't want to load their inboxes with lot of emails. I keep in a dashboard. I provide the information on a dashboard or on a portal or on a folder. The project participants will pull this information. They will pick the information which they need and use it for them. Project meetings, project meetings takes place. These are effective communications happens when you have meetings where decision making is enabled and way forward is supported by the team members. Stakeholder register, we discuss about the stakeholders. A register is being formed where the different stakeholders are listed with their different types of influences, whether they are high influence, low influence, all those things. Then project reports are reports which are issued by the projects, which tells us about the status of the project, the completion of deliverables and all those things. Use of technology, which type of technology is being used by the project, by the organization. It will be an enabler for the assurance process. And feedback, whether there is a good feedback mechanism, whether whatever learning has been taken in the project, whatever learnings have been in the project, whether it is fed back into the system, whether it is used for the next projects, such type of communications are also as enablers for the construction. Any questions so far? So good communication skills are critical for every team member. So I always say that communication skill is not only for the project manager. Communication skill for every member. Every member should enhance their skills so that they are effective in communicating. They provide the right information at the right time to the right people. Who to communicate, what to communicate, when to communicate, how to communicate. When these questions are answered, you can say that good communication skills are established in the project team member. So risk handling. So risk handling is, as I said, is a process where you identify the risks, assess the risk, and plan the risk mitigation. So basically, as we discussed, that what happened with the highway. So this identification of the risks was not taken place. What could happen in case there was a problem with the animal crossing activists? So this identification and assessment, what type of impact they will have and how to decrease their impact or decrease their likelihood needs to be assessed, and accordingly mitigation planning has to be put in place. So this is the criteria of success I just wanted to share with you. Completed within allocated time. We all know that if he completes within the allocated time, it is accepted by the customer. If it is not accepted by the customer, it is not a success. Completed within allocated budget, customer requirement satisfied. These are the criteria of project success. This is a project triple constraint. You all know that, I think, where the scope, cost, and schedule are balanced, and the quality is in the middle, which needs to be balanced by these three constraints. The scope, cost, and quality and schedule constraints are against each other. They are working against each other, but they have to ensure quality is maintained. So this is the quality management process. In quality management process, there is a quality planning, quality assurance, and quality control. We discussed already about quality assurance, how we establish and execute compliance activities, how monitoring and adjusting takes place, and how this basically goes back as a loop. So this is ensured that project management processes are available in a project so that the project requirements are validated. So basically, integration is the role of the project manager, and that is the main reason he is there in the project, and the team members are concentrating on the work done and different areas of the project. The project manager is basically putting the pieces together as a cohesive whole, and that gets the project done faster, cheaper, and fewer resources. So it's just some information I've given. What are the processes which are there in integration, project charter? These are all the fundamentals of project management, which we can all go through. Development of project management plan, directing and managing the project work, monitoring, tracking, and reviewing the project work, integrated change control, completing and closing the project or phase. So these are processes which are available in many of the project management books you will find. This is about integrated change management and control, how we can manage the, I already covered this one in the earlier slide, just it is telling some little bit explanation on how integrated change management helps us to, ensures how the changes are managed and controlled in a systematic way. Then we talked about stakeholders already. I discussed this part. Who are the stakeholders and how they impact us and what strategies can be put over there. Thank you. So basically we have covered today assurances and how assurances can be enabled by different enablers and tools in our project, and I give some examples and how this can be actually implemented in our project. So if you have any questions, please do ask me, and if you did not understand anything, you may share your questions. I am there on LinkedIn. I keep on sharing some of my thoughts, some of my experiences in project management and project controls. I share some of my incidents and some of my learnings. So do follow me on LinkedIn, and if you like my post, you may please leave a comment, or you might also like them. So this is my LinkedIn profile, project controls leader, linkedin.com. Also my number and email if you want to contact me, or if you want to send me if you have any doubts, any thoughts, if you want to share something like that, you can share with me. I also would like to learn from you. So please go ahead and ask if you have any questions. Sir, over to you.
Thanks, sir, for your nice and very informative presentation and discussion. Basically, project management is very popular topic and well coined word also. Even this topic is popular in the academia and in our industry. And this is really topic related to the software project management or civil engineering mega projects or any project. So really, sir, it is very informative session. And though we are related with this topic, but now we have learned several new thoughts, new ideas. And I am very happy to share that though I am related with project management since last 20-25 years, but today really I am very happy that I have learned some new technology, terminology, and the concept. Because in our project management books, they are discussing very old concept. If we are not going for the latest or totally updated books. So really, Naveen sir, it is very, very good and informative session. And you have shared, fortunately, you have shared your contact, so that our participants, our young engineering faculties may also contact you directly. And I would like to extend my sincere thanks and gratitude to you for accepting our request to take the session. And definitely we will have opportunity to learn more topics, learn something more advanced topics and industry oriented topics, as you have discussed today, tomorrow. So I request all participants to join again on tomorrow at 7 p.m. And Naveen sir will available, and definitely he will give you more topics related to the industry and with, related to his experience and working. So sir, really very good and we are very thankful for Namaste sir.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, sir.
Good night, everyone.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Thank you. Sir.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you. Thank you all.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.